You know, when most of us see a Ferrari, we see this incredible blur of red and, let's be honest, a massive price tag. But what if there's more to it? For a smart owner, a supercar, especially a Ferrari, isn't just a toy. It's actually a financial asset, a vehicle for opportunity. And we're going to dive into how that works.
So let me ask you this. Could your car be your collateral? It's a pretty simple question, right? But it totally flips the script on what it means to own a high-end car. What if that piece of art and engineering in your garage could do more than just snap necks on the street? What if it could actually unlock some serious capital, fast? Well, that's what this is all about.
The tool that makes this all possible is something called a luxury pawn loan. And the idea behind it is incredibly simple. The loan is tied to the car's actual market value, not your credit score. So you're basically leveraging the asset you already own to get cash when you need it without all the usual hoops to jump through.
All right, so where do we even begin? Let's start with the cars that really define the modern era of Ferrari, the mid-engined V8 beasts. We're talking pure, raw performance, the latest tech, and just sheer desirability. These aren't just cars, they're like art and science on wheels, and that translates directly into cold, hard financial value.
Just look at this timeline. It shows you how fast Ferrari moves. In just one decade, we went from the 558 Italia, an absolute icon with its screaming, naturally aspirated engine, to the turbocharged game-changer, the 488 GTB. And then, it all culminated in the F8 Tributo, which is basically the grand finale of that entire V8 dynasty.
Let's break that down a bit. You've got the 458 Italia, which is what you'd call a blue-chip modern classic. People love it for that pure driving feel and, believe it or not, its reliability. Then the 488 GTB crashes the party, adding 100 horsepower with its twin turbos and just making insane speed feel almost easy. And then you have the F8 Tributo, a celebration of that V8, packing over 700 horsepower. Any one of these is a prime asset for a lender.
And yeah, the numbers definitely back this up. The market values are incredibly strong, and they just keep climbing with each model. A decent 458 starts well into the six-figure range, and by the time you're looking at an F8, you're talking mid to upper six figures. That kind of stable, high value is exactly what makes them such powerful collateral.
Okay, but what if you want a Ferrari that you can actually, use more often? Well, that brings us to our next group, the Grand Tours. And these cars prove that value isn't just about lap times. It's also about usability and appealing to a much wider audience.
And you can really see the variety here. You've got the California, which was huge because it was the first with a retractable hardtop, kind of like the gateway Ferrari for a lot of people. It was followed by the sleeker, more refined Portofino, but then there's the FF. I mean, a four-seat V12 all-wheel drive station wagon from Ferrari? It was a totally wild idea, mixing all that V12 drama with actual year-round practicality.
So here's the big takeaway for this category. Because these models were designed to be more usable, they appeal to a way bigger market. And when you combine higher production numbers with that consistently strong demand, you get a really liquid, stable market. That makes these cars super straightforward and reliable assets for a loan.
Okay, let's shift gears again. We've done modern tech and everyday usability. Now, let's talk about the incredible power of nostalgia. We're jumping back to the 80s and 90s, an era of analog driving and just unforgettable designs that are now worth some serious money.
I mean, come on, you can't talk about the 80s without talking about this car. The Testarossa wasn't just a supercar, it was the pop culture poster car. It was on TV shows and video games, and for sure on the bedroom wall of an entire generation. And that massive cultural footprint is a huge part of its value today.
And it is so easy to see why. That beast of a 4.9-liter flat 12 engine gave it the go, but it was the look, especially those incredible side strakes, that made it a total legend. You know one the second you see one, and for collectors, that kind of instant recognition is basically money in the bank.
So how much money are we talking? Well, a good Testarossa today starts at a solid six figures, and the really great ones go for way, way more. That's the financial power of being a true icon.
But the Testarossa wasn't the only star of the show. The V8 line, which really kicked off with the 308, set the stage for Ferrari's future. The 308, of course, became world famous as the Magnum PI car. Its successor, the 328, took that winning formula and just made it better. More power, more reliable. Today, both of them are sought-after classics with a huge enthusiast community behind them.
So we've looked at modern speed, everyday usability, and these amazing nostalgic icons.
What's the common thread here? What are the key ingredients that turn a beautiful car into a really valuable financial asset?
Actually, before we get to the summary, let's look at one last really interesting case study, the Ferrari 400i. For years, this car was totally underappreciated, almost forgotten. It was a more subtle, four-seat V12 Grand Tour. But now, collectors are starting to wake up to its unique charm.
And just look at its value. Prices have climbed like crazy, pushing well into the low six-figure range for the best ones. This car is the perfect proof that even a model that wasn't a poster icon can become a super strong asset, all because of its unique character, its V12 engine, and the fact that you just don't see them around much anymore.
So that brings us to these four key ingredients. First, you've got modern performance, the sheer desirability of something like the F8. Second, everyday usability, like you see with the California. Third, that undeniable iconic status of a Testarossa. And fourth, pure collector appeal, which can be driven by rarity, like the FF, or something specific like a manual gearbox in an F355. If a car checks one or more of these boxes, it's a solid candidate for collateral.
So, when it really comes down to it, a supercar's value as an asset is about so much more than just horsepower or how fast it can go. It's this whole mix of things: its story, its place in our culture, how much people want it, and how rare it is. That's what creates real, bankable value.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. This isn't really just about Ferraris. It's about realizing that the things we're passionate about, whether it's cars, watches, art, whatever, can have this tangible value that goes way beyond what we paid for them. So the real question is, what hidden value is locked away in your passion?